Did you know most men are making the exact same mistake in their relationships and they don't even realize it? Here's the brutal truth. The secret to deeply connecting with women, sparking their admiration, and building lasting attraction isn't what most guys think. It's not about six-pack abs, a flashy car, or even saying the perfect lines. In fact, 99% of men overlook something so simple and transformative that when you master it, the way women respond to you will completely change. Think about this. Have you ever done everything right on paper, been generous, thoughtful, and even charming, but felt like it still wasn't enough? Or worse, that she appreciated your efforts but didn't seem excited about you? It's not about trying harder, it's about trying smarter. The missing link isn't about doing more for her, it's about truly seeing her. Here's the controversial part. Women don't just crave attention, gifts, or affection. What they really want, and what most men ignore, is a particular quality that makes them feel not just loved, but understood. It's an ability only a rare few men have, but anyone can develop. When you grasp this, it'll feel like flipping a switch in your interactions. This isn't some cheesy pickup artist trick or manipulation. It's grounded in emotional intelligence, authenticity, and deep human connection. In this video, I'll break down exactly what this hidden key is, why it's so important, and how you can unlock it today. The reality is that society has trained men to chase the wrong things, status, money, and external validation, while ignoring the inner skills that women actually find irresistible. So, if you're tired of feeling like you're doing all the heavy lifting in your relationships and getting nowhere, stick around. What you're about to learn might surprise you. 1. Why traditional masculinity falls short in modern relationships. For decades, men have been taught to fit into a rigid box labeled masculinity. It's all about being strong, unemotional, decisive, and dominant. Sound familiar? While these traits can have their merits, they fall flat when it comes to creating a meaningful connection with a woman. Why? Because the world has changed, and so have women's expectations. The old school be a provider, be tough, don't show weakness model assumes that men need to perform a role instead of being authentic. Women today are not looking for men to fix their problems or simply act as their protectors. They are looking for partners who can match their depth emotionally and intellectually. Here's the controversial kicker. Those traditional ideals are not just outdated, they actively harm your chances of building intimacy. Think about it, when was the last time you were told to genuinely communicate your feelings or listen to hers without trying to solve the issue? Probably never, because traditional masculinity treats vulnerability as weakness. Yet, to a woman, a man who can openly acknowledge his emotions is not weak, it's magnetic. It's not about abandoning confidence, it's about balancing strength with compassion. Another problem with the old school approach, it creates a disconnect. A man focused on maintaining an unshakable facade often overlooks the cues that women give, their subtle wants and needs that beg to be recognized. How can you connect deeply with someone when you're too busy pretending you're invincible? Here's the truth. Women crave authenticity and understanding far more than stoic strength. They're tired of men who wear emotional armor. When you're unafraid to be real, acknowledge your doubts, ask meaningful questions, and express curiosity about her inner world, you instantly stand out in a way 99% of men don't. You don't need to be perfect, nor do you need to abandon all the traits you value. Instead, shift your focus. Strong doesn't mean unemotional. Dominant doesn't mean unkind. Decisive doesn't mean dismissive. Redefine masculinity for yourself in a way that aligns with building genuine, lasting connections. It's time to let go of those old scripts and step into a new paradigm where your emotional depth is your greatest strength. Women notice and they love it. 2. The shocking truth about what women really find attractive. Here's a truth bomb that might sting a little. Most men spend their energy on things women don't actually care about as much as they think. Six-pack abs, a flashy car, designer clothes. Sure, those can grab attention, but they're not what creates real, lasting attraction. Here's the shocker. What women really find irresistible isn't physical or material, it's emotional and intellectual. Think about this for a second. How often are you told that the key to winning someone over is to impress her with what you own, how much you earn, or how you look? Society loves to sell men on the idea that external achievements are what make them desirable. But if this were true, Why do so many wealthy, good-looking men struggle to sustain meaningful relationships? The reality is that these things might catch a woman's eye, but they won't hold her heart. What women truly want, and here's where most men completely miss the mark, is a man who makes them feel understood and seen. It's not just about being a good listener or nodding along. It's about showing genuine curiosity for who she is beyond the surface. When you pay attention to her passions, ask thoughtful questions, and respond with empathy, you're telling her, "I care about you." And that's a form of intimacy that no six-pack can compete with. Here's the part most men don't realize. Women are deeply attracted to emotional intelligence. Being able to recognize and express your own emotions, while also understanding hers, is a skill so rare that it instantly sets you apart. When you can navigate conversations with sincerity and vulnerability, it builds trust and creates a safe emotional space she'll want to share. Another surprising quality women value? Confidence, not arrogance, but quiet confidence rooted in self-respect and self-awareness. Confidence shows in the way you carry yourself, in your ability to stand by your principles, and in the way you treat her as an equal. The shocking truth: attraction is built in the small, meaningful ways you connect on a deeper level. Yes, looks and success can open the door, but your emotional and intellectual presence is what invites her to stay. If you want to be part of the 1% who truly understand this, start focusing less on what you own and more on how you connect. 3. Why ignoring emotional intelligence is ruining your chances. Let's get real for a second. How often have you felt like you're doing everything right in a relationship or while trying to connect with someone, yet something feels off? You show up, you put in the effort, and still you feel misunderstood, like you're speaking two different languages. Here's the hard truth. The issue often lies in something most men ignore completely. It's not talked about enough, but emotional intelligence is the foundation of every strong connection. It's the ability to pick up on someone else's feelings, respond to them in a meaningful way, and navigate emotional situations with understanding. If you've ever felt like you're constantly misreading her reactions or she doesn't feel heard despite your best efforts, it's probably because this skill hasn't been a priority. Most men aren't taught how to tap into their emotional side. It's easy to dismiss subtle changes in her tone or body language because, hey, she'll tell you what's wrong, right? Not always. Women often communicate their emotions indirectly, not to be cryptic, but because they value being understood without always needing to spell it out. If you can't tune into these cues, it creates a disconnect that she feels deeply, even if she doesn't say it outright. Ignoring emotional intelligence doesn't just affect how she sees you, it also impacts how you see yourself. Think about it. Without understanding your own emotions, how can you show up fully in any relationship? It's not just about reacting to what she needs. It's about being aware of your feelings, understanding why you react the way you do, and being able to share that in a way that invites connection rather than conflict. Here's the thing. Women notice emotional intelligence, or the lack of it, right away. They sense when you're tuned in versus when you're coasting on autopilot. The more you ignore this, the more you come across as disconnected or even uncaring. And let's face it, that's the last impression you want to leave. Building emotional intelligence doesn't mean becoming overly sensitive or losing who you are. It means becoming more aware, more thoughtful, and more intentional in the way you show up. When you prioritize this, everything changes for the better. 4. The dangerous myths about alpha male behavior. It's time we address the elephant in the room, the alpha male myth. You've probably heard it 100 times. Be dominant, always take charge, never show vulnerability, and you'll be irresistible. Let's be honest, though, how's that working out for you? Because here's the reality. The obsession with being the stereotypical alpha male is not only toxic, it's completely missing the point of what women actually value. The issue isn't just about trying to act dominant, it's about ignoring what real strength looks like. Being alpha in the traditional sense often turns into arrogance, control, or emotional unavailability. If you think your value as a man comes from how much you can dominate a conversation or project power, let me tell you, most women find this exhausting, not attractive. Women don't want a man who's always in competition, even with her. They don't want someone so caught up in his ego that he can't let his guard down. Confidence is appealing, yes, but confidence rooted in insecurity, the need to prove yourself constantly, makes you come across as insecure, not strong. Here's some advice. Wake up. The world isn't the same as it was decades ago. Women are independent, smart, and more emotionally in tune than ever. They don't need a man to dominate. They need someone who can collaborate. If you're still holding on to the idea that power and control are the ultimate ways to attract a woman, you're limiting yourself and sabotaging your connections. Real strength comes from balance. You can be assertive without being overbearing. You can be confident without being dismissive. And you can absolutely show vulnerability without it being a sign of weakness. In fact, vulnerability is what creates trust and deepens relationships, something an alpha mindset usually ignores. Take a step back and reflect. Are you trying to live up to some outdated idea of manhood, or are you showing up as your authentic self? If you've been caught in the trap of acting alpha, it's time to let go of that facade. Focus instead on being someone who's strong enough to lead when necessary, but wise enough to listen and adapt. Women see that, and they respect it far more than outdated bravado. 5. How seeing her changes everything. Here's something every guy needs to hear right now. Stop assuming you know what women want. More often than not, the key to deep connection is right in front of you, but you're too focused on trying to impress her instead of truly understanding her. When it comes to building attraction, the most powerful thing you can do isn't make grand gestures or say the right words. It's seeing her for who she really is, not just as a woman you're trying to win over. I get it. It's easy to get caught up in trying to be the perfect guy, ticking off boxes that you think matter. You may think she's only interested in flashy dates or material things, or that saying the right things at the right time will win her over. But what women really crave is emotional presence. They want to feel acknowledged, not just in the way you interact with them, but in the way you listen to them. Here's what I'm getting at. Women notice when a man genuinely cares about what's going on inside their mind, when you make the effort to understand her dreams, her fears, her quirks, the things that make her who she is. You're showing her that you value her as an individual, not as someone to win. This is one of the most powerful forms of attraction there is, and yet most guys completely overlook it. So many men get stuck in transactional thinking that if I do X, I'll get Y in return. But the real truth is, if you truly see her, if you tune in and connect with her on an emotional level, your chances of developing a real, meaningful bond skyrocket. This doesn't mean showering her with compliments or doing everything she asks. It means creating an environment where she can express herself without judgment, where she feels comfortable sharing what's going on beneath the surface. Being present, asking questions that show you're truly invested in her as a person, and demonstrating that you're tuned into her emotional world is what builds lasting connections. Let me make this clear. Women want men who know how to see them. It's easy to focus on surface-level stuff, looks, status, even perceived power, but at the end of the day, these things don't matter much if the emotional connection isn't there. When you truly understand her, you create an intimacy that no one else can replicate. That's how you really connect, and that's what makes her want to stick around. Here's the truth. Most men are stuck in a cycle, chasing after the wrong things, believing that the keys to attraction are hidden in wealth, power, or surface-level charm. But here's the real kicker. The more you focus on showing off those things, the less likely you are to truly connect with the woman you desire. It's time to wake up and realize that emotional intelligence, vulnerability, and deep connection are the real game changers. Drop the old narratives and start focusing on what really matters. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences on this. Drop a comment below, and let's talk, because your journey is just beginning. I'll personally reach out to build a genuine connection with you. You're not in this alone.